Hello everyone, I don't normally go live on the weekends, but I am today, and it's a bit of a different angle because my phone's here rather than over there where it normally is. So I appreciate your tuning in as always, being a part of the live that we do every single night here at the SMWS. I'm going live again now because it's quarantine times and I'm not going out on a Saturday night. Says Barley Brains. Good to see you, Barley Brains. Lots of love to you too, of course. How are we all? Good to see you. You know, a bit of a smaller audience tonight, but I'm gonna persevere through this. Whiskey Man Sam, good to see you. Calte, good to see you. So nothing went as planned for the for setting up the content for today. Howdy. That's more like it. I rate this camera angle. Yes, you get to see all my wrinkles at this angle. And you know, it's also the front-facing camera, so everything. If I show you a label of something, it's going to be round the wrong way. I've been thinking a lot over the last week of how we always pick up certain bottles, we always pick up certain releases, certain single casks, certain special releases, etc. Always with the intention of, I'll open it someday. You know, it's like, it's a special release and I'll open it. It's, someday kind of thing. Now, that was sort of like that sort of, what's the word for it? I started questioning that whole logic along with another colleague of mine, Andrew. We both did a bit last year. We both questioned that logic a bit last year because we both had that same experience of, well, not same experience. His experience was far different to mine. But he got very unwell last year, as he may have announced to members throughout the year, of course. And he's very much on the mend now. He's in great health now. And so he's... but, because it was, he was facing some rather difficult and, life-altering health decisions to make. He, and fighting through cancer, he went through this phase last year, opening everything, not everything, but opening so many of those, unicorn bottlings throughout his own private collection. And he sometimes shared them with friends, sometimes with me, sometimes with just, friends of friends, etc. He's always the Durbidges have always been very hospitable, and it was always great to have them, have them as friends and be that close to them is great. And the idea that they were opening all these great bottles is it's kind of like he opened I think he went through 2 or 3 bottles of Black Bamore, all these old paper label era society bottlings, including one that he's got open right now that he's been sharing around, which is a very old 10.41 or 10.21, I think the code is on something. Good to see you, Whiskey's my jam. Whiskey Juzma, good to see you. Some Rohan guy, good to see you. As I said, don't normally go live on a Saturday, but because it's 8 o'clock and because it's quarantine times and I'm not going out on a Saturday, I thought I'd do just a quick live stream. Now I fall into the same trap as Andrew, as everyone who collects whiskey. I don't consider myself a whiskey collector. Now, when I say that, there's 2 sort of types of collectors here. One collector is someone who collects to drink later, and that's what I am. I mean, I buy some bottles here and there. That some bottles arrive, and I literally open them as soon as they arrive because it's like, well, I bought that to drink it, and I'm a firm believer that a lot of whiskeys improve after being opened, so there's no point waiting to open it. Some peated whiskies appreciate being sealed before, but a lot of open bottles often get better with time. You should bust a dram. More unicorn bottling open this week than a time in history, I expect. Exactly, Whiskey's my jam. And that's a good thing. Because we constantly have this mentality of, oh, well, I'll get around to it one day. I'll open it one day. It's something special that I'll open one day. And you just never get around to actually doing that and saying, well, when is that one day? Is it going to be a Friday night with some friends, or is it still too rare to do that? Or is it going to be is it going to be your 30th, your 40th, your 50th? You're going to open it on a landmark birthday? But let's be honest, when you have a birthday party, there's often a mix of people, or it is for me. It's people from the whiskey trade, it's people from outside of whiskey, old friends, new friends, everyone who, if I have a landmark, like a milestone birthday. So it's and friends and family, of course, as well, but a lot of my family aren't whiskey drinkers. A lot of my friends aren't whiskey drinkers. A lot of my musician friends, they're happy with the Jameson and Coke or CC and dry kind of thing. They're not really interested in, imbibing on nice single cask whiskies. So that's why I don't really pay too much attention to the milestone birthdays as an excuse either. So when do you have what's the excuse then? When do you find that excuse to open a good bottle? Now this one isn't a rare bottle. It came out last year. It was called Tart Fruit Crumble 112.41. The reason I'm opening this one tonight is because it's a Saturday night. It's an excuse to open a bottle. It was a sweet, fruity, and mellow. This was a 10-year-old whiskey, and it was in a heavy toast second fill barrel. And it was our whiskey of the which came with membership. It was a special membership release. Barley Brains, I can't believe I haven't killed you yet. Sometimes, you know what? For those who are tuning in later on YouTube on this video, Barley Brains says, yeah, but you must have opened a good one on your 40th. Thanks a lot, Barley Brains. No, I'm not 40. I've got many years before I am 40, thankfully. No, look, I did open a couple of nice bottles a few years back, which was nice. And I open nice bottles every week. But it's the whole sort of thing about how we have this mentality of always saving something for, saving a bottle for later, or when, it's like, and you've got to start getting out of that mentality, I think. It's really quite dangerous for two reasons. One, you could get hit by a bus tomorrow. You shouldn't be hit by a bus because you're staying inside. Stay home. Hashtag stay home. The second reason why it's quite dangerous is because, it's also like you don't know what the future holds. And third reason is if you live in a small place or a large place, thankfully where I live is quite large. But if you live in a small place and suddenly you've got this collection going of sealed bottles, they don't taste any good inside the bottle. That's the point there. So you're going to start filling up your apartment or house or villa or condo, or wherever the hell you live, and it's going to have heaps and heaps of bottles suddenly, and it's going to be like, what do I open next? And I don't know, if you ever have to move house, it also, which I've had to do, is everyone's had to move house at least once in their life. But it's if you've ever had to move house. Moving with lots and lots of whiskey is an absolute chore to find enough boxes that withstand the weight of carrying whiskey around, and also then placing enough trust in home removalists to make sure all the boxes arrive. That's why you pack the really rare ones into your own car, of course. SMWS Japan joined. Good to see you guys. Happy Saturday night. I don't know if it's Saturday night in Japan. What time is it in Japan at the moment? Time in Tokyo is... it's okay. It's only 2 hours. Do you always forget how close the time gap is between Japan and Australia? I've been in Japan a few times and I love it. I just always forget about how close they are in time. I keep thinking in my head, it's like 6 or 7 hours difference. It's not. It's 2. Well, it's 2 hours at the moment. It'll probably move to. We're going back, aren't we? So it'll probably move to 1 hour next week. Tomorrow. No, that's tomorrow. Is that tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow. Daylight savings is tomorrow, everyone. How exciting is that? So tomorrow night, we lose an hour's sleep, I think. Yes. Yeah, it goes back. The clocks go back. No, we gain an hour's sleep. Anyway, whatever. No, you gain an hour, don't you? Because we're going backwards. I'm really terrible with remembering that stuff. Luckily, our phones change for us these days. 112 is one of the most underrated SMWS bottlings. I thoroughly agree. Yeah, exactly, Calta. You had the same thing with the 21st. The bottles you bought and the cigars I have still not open and smoked. See, that's kind of a shame. It's like they were sort of... You would have enjoyed them on the 21st. You could have enjoyed them the week after your 21st. It's best to just open and enjoy them. There's always more whiskey. Like, yes, some distilleries are closed at the moment because of COVID, but there's always more whiskey. There's always something else you can enjoy later on down the track. And if you ever find yourself in a position that you don't have any whiskey on hand at all, I don't know what that feels like, so I'm sorry. He's 45. I'm not 45. Honestly, I don't know what will happen with both of those. Maybe a 22nd or Christmas sad thing is it's in a box and 6 bottles. Yeah. Yeah, Steve, good to see you. I tagged you, by the way. You're up for the challenge now. So I'm going to open this bottle because I bought it last year and I've been meaning to open it because I love the 112s. This one, it says on the front here, apples and pears cascaded into underripe cherries and rhubarb crumble doused in vanilla custard. That was really appealing tasting note. That sort of fresh apple crumble, tart fruit crumble, tart fruits, vanilla custards, all those pears, pear juice, pear lollies. I love that in a whiskey. I love that fresh, vibrant kind of thing, especially the 112s. These things are crazy yeasts, crazy distillation. It's unlike, it's the combination still as they use the the tall grain still, if you like, the coffee still and the pot combined in their distillation method for Inchmurrins. Unlike Loch Lomond 135, which is traditional double pot still distillation. Whoa, did you did the challenge where we find you doing SMW shots? I don't know what that is. I may have, yes. Hi, Matt. Dinner with Matt. Whee! Indian and tossing bouquet, 95 to 29. Verboten! I'm Goodwin. Good to see you. I'm Goodwin, and I really appreciate you you having a bit of 95. I know you got that 95.29 off. I think you got that from the lunch. That was a great lunch. That was a super normal plus single cask lunch in Melbourne. If I'm getting that right. Apologies if I'm not. But yes, a lovely whiskey. That was truly fantastic whiskey. And that's what I mean. Like these are overlooked. 95s are overlooked, and we haven't seen that many. 95.29, 29 casks in 37 years. So less than one a year. Add that up. So I'm going to pour a bit of this one now. I remember tasting this when we featured it at the Festival Feast in Melbourne. And we featured it, I think, at a Sydney event, but it was mostly for... I'm going to pour a generous dram of that. It was mostly for new member sales. It was a new member bottling that came out. So I'm going to drink Tart Fruit Crumble 112.41. I'll hold that up there so you can see it. It's a 10-year-old sweet, fruity and mellow second fill heavily toasted cask. How good's my memory? There you go. Exactly. I remember when you got that bottle. I don't know why I've got almost a numerical memory these days when it comes to codes and times and dates. Except with birthdays. I'm really bad at remembering birthdays, but I can remember like dates and codes and numbers and things. I don't know. Just the way my brain's wired. So I'm going to have a swirl of that, swish that around. That smells so good. Even just after being in the glass for a moment. 59.6%, so it's pretty beefy on the proof. No, I don't get a tobacco note. Keegan Emmons, good to see you. And I don't get a tobacco note on that one, Cal. Maybe a little bit. Much more tart fruit, though, like overripe pears and... Whiskey's My Jam asks, question, do you actually sell bottles at events? You didn't at the last Tassie one, July 2019. No, we do sell bottles at events. We take orders for bottles at events. For the bigger events, we often have a case or two spare on hand as well. So some of the bigger events, like if it's like 60 to 80 guests or something, we often have a few sort of like I say, a few cases on hand of each cask that's available, so that members can leave with them on the night. That's always easy because you skip the freight charge then, and you can take it with you there and then rather than waiting a week. Well, a week. At the moment, it's a week. By the way, it's Australia. Just on that point, by the way, Australia Post haven't actually made an official statement about this yet, but we are seeing quite a delay in the shipment and delivery of a lot of our parcels at the moment. We're talking like a week between Sydney and Melbourne, even a week between Sydney and Sydney addresses. So there's obviously a lot of delays happening with the coronavirus, and in terms of the processes that they're not used to at Australia Post or whatever. So while they haven't made an official statement, we are seeing our parcels slowing down by at least 2 or 3 days extra time. So if your parcel says that it's on its way, it's on its way. You get every member gets the tracking when we send them, but they are taking a little bit longer than usual. Cal asks, wait, we can pay at the event since when? I would have saved 100 last year in freight. Next event. Yeah, no, look, like I said, Caltay, sometimes we bring some cases of whiskey with us to some of the events. If it's a bigger event, we try and at least carry a case of each with us. But logistically, it's quite tricky because if I take sort of 6 bottles or something and maybe only 2 get taken on the night, I've then got 4 bottles that I've got to then transport back to our warehouse in Sydney. So we are able to do it sometimes, but sometimes I've got 1 spare of each with me. Yes, Rowan Guy, that is correct. Now, Australia Post have removed signatures to avoid spreading of transmission of disease, blah, blah, blah. So while they've removed signatures, they still have to cite the person they're dropping it off for. So they're not just going to leave it on your front doorstep. They have to see you, they have to see your face, and they have to see the person they're delivering it to is over the age of 18 for our parcels, because it's alcohol. So they're still doing what they can, but they're not no actual signatures anymore. Rob Akers joined. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. We're open to 112.41. You might remember that one. Tart Fruit Crumble. Sweet, fruity and mellow. 10-year-old, that one. That was a personal purchase that I bought for myself that I cracked open tonight just for you guys and for me. Well, I cracked it open for me, but I felt like a 112. You know that flavour? 112s have a certain flavour. Like, yeah. I think I said I think I meant to say it's like overripe pears but underripe cherries. There's definitely a cherry, like a cherry juice to this. But I love these 112s. I love them. That's so perfumed on the palate. That's bourbon cask. That's a bourbon cask. So it was 8 years in a second fill bourbon hogshead. Then 2 years in a second fill, again, ex-bourbon hogshead. So it went from one hoggy to another. But the second hoggy had a heavy toast. So that heavy toast obviously imparted a lot of additional toasty cherry flavors, almost a bit virgin oaky in its taste there, which when done right can work very well in Scotch whiskey. I've had some shocking virgin oak whiskey though, I'll be honest. Some which taste really unbalanced. It's funny, there was a great sort of debate on whether virgin oak should be used in Scotch whiskey at all. And one person, I think it was Bill Lumsden from Glenmorangie, Dr. Bill Lumsden, came out in favour of it, saying, you know, it's perfectly legitimate cask type and usage, so go for it. If it's interesting spirit, it's interesting spirit. And I agree with him. But then there's someone, Serge Valentin from Whiskey Fun, said that virgin oak does not belong in Scotch whiskey. And I don't agree with him either on that one. There's not many things I disagree with on Serge, but Serge does take a very traditional approach to whiskey production and maturation, which I also respect. That's thankfully why he works with Angus McRae on Whiskey Fun as well. They probably balance each other out quite well. Yeah, barley brands. Yeah, so I mean, I'll be honest. There was a there's been some great virgin oak. I'm talking core range releases, not independent releases. But I mean, I'd quite safely say that the Deanston virgin oak wasn't really one of my favourites. I found it just a little bit too one-dimensional. But however, actually, not to blow smoke up you or anything, but that's not the quote. But I did have a lovely Ben Riach virgin oak last year. I can't remember what the cask code or anything was, but that was quite nice. I had a virgin oak Glen Murray that I thought was very good, and a virgin oak Glenmorangie that one of their private releases was in virgin oak, or at least finished in virgin oak. I can't remember which one, but it was also very nice. Yeah, I definitely get that. You know what I mean? Like this, and that's why I think there's a good argument to be made for and against it. I am for virgin oak. I think it's if it's done well, if it's integrated well into the spirit, and of course that usually means it's a finish, and for good reason, because it'd be a little bit overbearing otherwise. But yeah, I mean it's yeah. I think I've talked about this before, but it was good. They're good fun. This one has. That's why the reason I got to that is because this one has just the slightest hint of almost virgin oakiness. It's not though at all. It's just a second fill heavy toast. And that heavy toast is really shining through there. Whiskey's my jam. Says virgin oak and white oak are the same. Correct. No. I mean, white oak isn't. I mean, where are you seeing that phrase white oak? That's I think used at is it Fujigatemba or Mars, or there's a few Japanese distilleries that use that phrase, or what's the other one? What's that other distillery in Japan that uses white oak as a name? I think they use it almost as a brand. Yeah. No, it doesn't mean the same thing. But white oak generally means that it's American oak. It's Quercus alba white oak, but it doesn't mean that it's virgin oak necessarily. That's not a protected term. White oak. It's not like a recognized term, I should say. So Schmitty says, "It's my 30th. I'm in effing lockdown. Do a shot for me." Schmitty, I raise a glass to you, my friend. This one is for you. I poured it for myself, but I'm now raising a glass to you. I won't do a shot of it, but I will have a taste of it, and I hope you do the same. In my mind, it should be treated similarly to first fill sherry with the same caution and respect. Absolutely, yes. First fill sherry is something that you see a lot of people going a little bit troppo over sometimes. They get way too excited over first fill sherry, and you go, yeah, but if the balance is right, then they're great. If they're not, then you get these overly encumbered casks that just soak the spirit to death. And it's the same with virgin oak. It is a particular lovely chariness, sweet chariness that you get to virgin oak, but it has to be treated with respect. Good point. Shimidi on it. Akashi, that's one. Sorry, that was the word I was trying to look for. And the name of the Akashi distillery. But, which just still escapes me if someone wants to jump in on that one. So Whiskey's My Jam says a 2019 net release was a white oak, I think. Yes, that was their version of calling it bourbon wood. So I think they changed the wording. They used to just call it bourbon wood, but I think they changed it to white oak after that. Why? I don't know. White oak sounds cooler. I don't know. Agree with Barley Reds. Refill sherry hogsheads are where it's at for me here. Refill sherry butts, hoggies. You don't see too many sherry barrels, and thank God for that. But yeah, I mean, seeing that, yeah, exactly. Hoggies and refill butts with a nice length of maturation, of course. Second fill sherry is rare to find at the moment, but there's a lot of first fill sherry. Yeah. I mean, it goes up and down in waves, Cal. I mean, I have a huge soft spot for lovely big sherried whiskies. Not as much as I know Andrew does. He loves his big sherried whiskies. I'm more of a great bourbon cask kind of fanatic, if you like. But that's pretty much covers in 80% of maturing whiskey, but or more. So it's not really a fair comparison. It was a Tennessee cask specifically on that one, I think. Okay, so it was a Tennessee cask, right? So it was either a ex Jack Daniels or ex George Dickel cask or something. So they probably call it a white oak for that very reason. There's got to be a reason behind that, of which I don't know the full answer. So, but I don't think it's a proper registered term. Well, not by the SWA anyway. Hashtag Team Refill. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So I've opened 112.41, and my little Saturday discussion tonight for you guys was open your bottles. We're living in strange times at the moment, in quarantine times, of where it's very easy to still sit in that sort of realm of saying, oh well, I'll open it another time. I'll open it when it's this birthday or this time frame or when this happens. You don't know that's going to happen. You don't know if it's not going to happen. You don't know what age you're going to live to. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And all I encourage you to do is, if you've got nice whiskey and you've got something with it still sealed, now's a good opportunity as ever to open it, enjoy it, and make the most of this downtime. Stay positive in this downtime. I'm staying hugely positive. As you can probably see, I don't even talk about it that much. I'm like, downtime. It's like there's a lot going on. I feel strongly about the plight of what's going on in the hospitality industry is extremely bad. It's affected, of course, not just all of our partner bars, but every bar and restaurant in Australia, which is incredible. It's truly devastating. But I'm just maintaining a sense of positivity about it because we have to. And I have to. Because I find we're going to come out the other side of this, whether it be 2 months from now, whether it be 6 months from now, whatever it is. And no one knows the answer to that, of course. As long as we keep flattening the curve, as they say. Yeah. I think this week I'm also going to do a stream. I've actually got a special guest lined up. I'll tell you a little bit about the week's coming ahead. There will be a stream tomorrow, probably tomorrow afternoon. I need to check my time frames with that. So just to give you guys a quick rundown of what's happening this week on the videos. Sunday stream will be tomorrow afternoon, which is a special edition. Monday night will be a traditional Instagram live. Tuesday night will be back to the Facebook group. I'll share bits of that clip onto our Instagram stream, but it'll probably best watch it through Facebook and YouTube. Which is a live stream with a special guest, which I'm really excited by. And then the rest will come out from there. So Wednesday and Thursday are still sitting tentative, and then onwards from there. Really appreciate you always tuning in, everyone being a part of this discussion. Keep your heads up, open something special, and have a great weekend, everyone. See you tomorrow.